The very best in the Minnesota political tradition.
And I really and truly want to wish Arne Carlson well.
And that was the way the 1990 gubernatorial race ended this afternoon. Arne Carlson accepting victory and pledging to work with the DFL legislature.
Believe me, we will work together. We will compromise. We will pull together toward the common good of Minnesota, because that's the reason every single person is in the Minnesota state legislature.
And Governor Perpich accepting defeat, saying losing wasn't as bad this time around.
And back in 1978, when I lost to Al Quie, I thought it was the end of the world. I think I described it as though someone pushed me off the edge of a cliff. And I found that it was the kind of the best 3 years of my life.
The statements ended a long, long night in which the candidates had to wait out vote counting. They both finally just gave up and went to bed.
So we'll wait through the night. I think it's going to go well.
Today, friends of Governor Perpich filed through his office offering a smile and a well done.
I just said that I thought he'd done a good job, and that I think that I really do believe that 10 years is long enough in any chief executive job.
And Governor-elect Carlson reflected on a contest that saw him come out of virtual retirement just 14 days ago to beat the incumbent.
So you can call me Governor Lazarus.
The election of 1990 is over, with the winner and the loser looking around, asking what happened. At the state capitol, Kevin McDowell, KARE 11 News.
Carlson says he's going to take some time off before getting to work on a transition team.
That we discipline our spending patterns by making certain that the tax bill is passed first, yes.
Arne Carlson will also be calling once again on the volunteers he praised at his campaign headquarters. They will help him form a transition team after everyone's had a little rest.
And that's what we are told Arne Carlson is doing tonight, getting a little rest. Earlier today, he said he received a cordial...
I'm kind of happy in a way that I know my family, for them, it's a blessing. There's no doubt about that in my mind.
The man who had sought a fourth term as governor said he had already spoken to Governor-elect Carlson.
And said that I have a very special love for Minnesota, and we want to make sure that Minnesota continues to do well, and that I'm willing to help him in any way that he sees fit.
Rudy Perpich, who has long been a master politician, offered no excuses or explanations for his loss. He says he's not interested in post-mortems. Perpich says the voters voted him out. So come January, it's simply time to move on.
And it happened. Who knows why? This is not an exact science.
It won't happen again. The governor says he's through with politics.
I have to hit the street and look for a job.
At the end, Perpich said he'll be remembered as someone who did his very best for Minnesota.
Okay, enjoyed it all. We had a great time, and all of you worked very, very hard in support of Arne Carlson. I'm going to do it. Thank you very much.
Tom Gasparoli, WCCO Television News, the state capitol.
Many of the same emotions in the governor's race were evident on this day after the Senate race. It began with Rudy Boschwitz congratulating Paul Wellstone and pledging support for an easy transition. Boschwitz also gave a quick explanation of what Wellstone did right and what he did wrong.
My opponent ran a very aggressive and capable and resourceful campaign, and he out-hustled us.
Those were the only thoughts Boschwitz had on why he lost last night. He called this news conference to thank his supporters and talk about his future.
Something to do. I've always had a whole bunch of ideas for businesses, and I will go back into business. I will certainly come back to Minnesota. Not going to stay in Washington. This is where, you know, the boys are, and so that hopefully we'll have some grandchildren.
Afterwards, Paul Wellstone thanked Boschwitz for his kind words and had some of his own for his staff.
Right behind me is, I'm sure, the youngest staff of any Senate race, but these guys pulled it off. These guys did it. They are wonderful.
Wellstone said he thought he'd wake up this morning wanting to celebrate. Instead, he said his thoughts were serious, saying the voters have placed in him what he calls a sacred trust.
I will work so hard to live up to your trust. I will work so hard to do well by you. I will work so hard to be a senator that you will be proud of. Thank you, Minnesota. Thank you, everybody.
The transition period will end for Boschwitz and Wellstone on January 3rd, when Paul Wellstone is sworn in as U.S. Senator.